three stages: philosophical depth, historical depth, strategic depth. Strategy is the result of a worldview. Without having a philosophical understanding, therefore, as the title I gave, the ontology of world order. Politics usually is separated from philosophical, existential subjects. In fact, we might be Turkish, Greek, Russian, Arab, British, Muslim, Christian, Jew. At the end of the day, we are human beings. What do we need? What is, when I say ontology of world order? My first book is published by University Press of America in 1994. It was on the impact of worldviews on political theories. There I tried to understand why human beings needed a political order, a national political order or a global order. Why do we need order? For example, here we have an order. You are chairing the session, I am guest, and everybody in this hall knows what to do and knows what not to do.
Well, sometimes they forget that.
That's good. It is good. It creates dynamism. And there, what I realized is that this is the basis of my approach to world order and Turkish role in world order. Human beings, my dear friends, needs two things basically for the existential reasons. One is security, the other one is freedom. Security is needed for your existential survival, biological security, physical security. You have to survive. This is a human instinct. Second is freedom is needed for mental and intellectual survival. Usually, political regimes, Musa, they suggest you either security or freedom. If somebody says you, I will provide you security, don't ask freedom from me, this is autocracy. If somebody says, forget security, focus on freedom, this is chaos. When I wrote my book, Strategic Depth, to Turkish terminology, people know that less, but this became the backbone of our political philosophy in that years, balance between security and freedom, harmonization of security and freedom. The highest level of political legitimacy, either national or global, if a political authority tells you, I will provide you full security without limiting your freedom, or I will give you freedom without risking your security. This is the highest level of political legitimacy. So coming to Turkey, I look to my country. That is historical part, the philosophical part, relevant for all societies. Coming to my country, without understanding world, you cannot understand your country. Without understanding international context, you cannot develop national approach. Nationalism sometimes ignores this fact and creates problems. But patriotism, in that sense, is the harmonization of these two. Then I look to my country. Why, how can we be free, strong, and secure at the same time? In Cold War, usually Turkey is seen as a country of security provider. Cold War was based on security issues, and Turkey was seen as the periphery of NATO, means weak country against Soviet Union. And the purpose from 1945 to 2000, until I wrote that book, Strategic Depth, Turkey's strategic mind was how to prevent Soviet Union to come to Mediterranean and how to protect Turkey security. And Turkish strategic mind was very much defensive and reactionary because, as I said before, the Turkish mindset was saying, okay, Russia is our historical enemy. Greece is our current enemy. Arabs betrayed us. Armenians make campaign against us on historical issues. Bulgarians, we had problems with Balkans. If, assume that you are in a classroom, you think that everybody is your enemy. This is a psychiatric issue and you feel insecure. Once you feel insecure, you try to protect yourself and becomes very defensive. Therefore, in my book, when I wrote, I made an analogy. I said Turkey is like a human being with strong muscles, because army is strong, empty stomach, because our economy was very weak, a small brain, because there was not strategic vision, and a very sinking, shaking heart, because we are, who will be dividing us, who will attack us? You cannot develop any strategy. What did I say in my strategic that? First, I developed a methodology. It has been used in all social sciences. As if you ask question, I will answer that. The methodology of analyzing international relations, also social events, in that I developed a formula in my book. In that formula, I said there are constant parameters of a country or nation. These are history and geography. You cannot change your history and geography. You are born in that context. You cannot say, I am in a risky geography in Middle East, let me go to Latin America. You cannot go. This is your geography. It is given to you. And history cannot change. History is your background. So I said, then how can I interpret Turkish geography? I said, it is an illusion to say Turkey is a weak country of NATO. I rebelled against this. I said, no, Turkey is a central country of Afro-Eurasia. Central country in the sense that usually Turkey was seen during Cold War, NATO member, European country. After Cold War, Euro-Asian country. I said, no, Turkey is an Afro-Euro-Asian country. Turkey is right at the center of Afro-Eurasia, mainland. This geography brings us many risks, but it brings also many advantages. Strategic mind means you develop the advantages and you minimize the risk. You know, let me say one interesting anecdote. I became foreign minister 1st May 2009 and visited Washington September or October 2009 after a few months. With Hillary Clinton, we sit before tete-a-tete. We were knowing each other, but that was direct. I said, Hillary, do you know what is the difference between me and you? She was surprised. She said, what? When you wake up in Washington, 3,000 square miles around, you have only Mexico and Canada. And you can easily sleep. But when I wake up every morning, in 3,000 square meters, there are at least 50 countries. Each of them have either problem in negative sense or an asset you have to deal with. This is geography. I said, strategic depth is geography. I never denied history and geography in that sense. Then I developed the rest of the formula is on strategic thinking, economic parameter, etc., etc. And once you have this central concept of central country, meanwhile, many other countries refer to this. Germans say to them, Mittellage. Chinese name means center of the world in Chinese language. So, but in our case, we are really in the middle. Therefore, you told me that you will be having a debate on Ottoman state.
Yes, we have a debate called this.
The debate.
Please,
because people called me neo-Ottoman.
Yes.
Because of this
and
approach.
Pan-Islamist as well.
Yeah, because of this. You know why? First, about Islamists, why? Of course, I am a Muslim. Everybody knows, and I don't hesitate to say this, I am a Turkish Muslim. But my best friends, now we published a book, I will show you, Gaza in Genocide in Gaza, with Richard Falk. He's a Jewish background, great philosopher. In that book, there are authors from 26 different countries. You know who started this labeling me. First reason was Americans were prepared to attack Iraq. The American soldiers came to very close to Iskenderun port, and they were almost landing. Around 70,000 Americans were prepared to go through Turkey to Iraq to attack. This was 2002. The government was established, and I became chief advisor. I was totally against this. I was saying that American intervention to Iraq doesn't have international legitimacy, and Turkey should not be part of this. I defend zero problems with neighbors. We cannot be a place to attack to our neighbor through Turkey. But in Turkey, there was a strong pro-war, pro-American lobby, and supported by neocons. I had difficulties and struggled with neocons throughout my academic and political career. Neocons were ready. They were thinking that the new government would accept this. And when I rejected, they said, he rejected because he's Islamist. If Iraq was a Christian country, I would reject this as well. Neo-Ottomans was, this is also giving this example, maybe like a mediation course, let me say, if I am not boring. Neo-Ottomans, when they said, when I was interested, I was looked on Balkan issues. I know every city, every street in Balkans. One day, after I became minister, in first EU meeting, Turkish bilateral talk, Carl Bildt, you know Carl Bildt, he's a very close friend of mine, a man of peace. We respect each other. Former Swedish Prime Minister and was chairing EU delegation. He said, Ahmet, we want something from you after bilateral negotiation. I said, most welcome, Carl. What can I do for you? He said, we prepared a plan for Bosnia. And in that plan, together with Americans, everybody accepted, except Haris Slajic, president of Bosnia-Herzegovina. He is your friend. Can you convince him to accept this plan? He gave me the paper. I turned the paper, and I said, this is, Carl, you know my background. Such a paper, such a plan should not be given to a Turkish minister by Europeans or by Americans. Bosnia is like our domestic issue. Either we write and we give this to you, or we prepare this plan together. Then I didn't accept this. I came back to Istanbul. I invited Serbian and Bosniak ministers to Istanbul, and I asked them which type of problems you have. They told us. And in 3 months, we have resolved all the issues. But Serbian side apologized because of Srebrenica. I mediated between two sides. We wrote the text with Serbian president. Some Europeans were very angry. They had a plan, but in 2-3 months, we developed another regional ownership. This is also regional ownership. When I went to Bosnia after this initiative, some pro-European, pro-Serb, some of them, they said this Davutoğlu is neo-Ottoman, and they came back to Bosnia with some assertions. How did they come? I said, our ancestors came by horse, I came by plane. But Bosnia is our issue. Why? Strategic depth. When a European friends told me, why are you so interested in Bosnia, Albania, Georgia, Abkhazia, Crimea, everywhere you are interested? I said, look, Turkey is has a legacy of an imperial background. We have more Bosniaks in Turkey than in Bosnia. We have more Albanians in Turkey than in Albania. We have more Crimeans in Turkey than in Crimea. We have more Georgians in Turkey than in Georgia. We have more Abkhazians in Turkey than in Abkhazia. Here, among us, maybe we are 12, 15 here, Turkish. I am sure many of them are from different origin. So this was my approach. regional ownership, zero problems with neighbors, stability, security, and freedom. This was disturbing some people, therefore they, of course, attacked.
But sir, the zero problem policy sounded very, it sounds very idealistic, but then reality intervened. The Arab Spring erupted, and Turkey started, facing problems with its neighbors. And as we look back now, we broaden to we come to the current day. Let's broaden out Turkey's place in the world. When you were foreign minister, when you were prime minister, accession to the EU still seemed, as you said, it was a strategic target. Now it seems like a very distant goal. Relations with Western allies at that time were much better, which are now strained. And there's a lot of issues, for example, now Turkey is purchasing Russian S-400 missiles, which is creating tensions in Eastern Mediterranean. There's questions about democratic backsliding in Turkey. So from that time of a zero problems Turkey, that sounds like an idealistic utopia that Turkey is far away from now, 20 years down the line. And how do you see Turkey's foreign alignment today? Has Turkey, which as you described, which was a bridge between the East and the West, has that now drifted too far from the West? Has Turkey's foreign alignment completely changed in the globe, in the world map today?
I am a historian. I am a scholar. Therefore, I know very well that there cannot be zero problems between human beings. There are always problems. Why did I declare zero problems with neighbors? I wanted to make a psychological therapy for my nation, that you have to be, like at the beginning I said, if you think you are surrounded by enemies, you cannot have a fresh mind for a new start. So therefore, and I think that psychological therapy was successful, very successful. For example, with Greece, is Yanis here? Yanis asked me a question, yes. Greece and Turkey, the most enemy for several reasons. When we started, the relations were very tense. When I became minister, we prepared the ground. First time ever, two governments, Greek and Turkish prime ministers, Papandreou and Erdogan, they chaired common joint cabinet meeting, 11 Turkish ministers, 11 Greek ministers in Athens. We signed 29 agreements. In 100 years of relations, we signed only 35. In one day, we signed almost the same. Then, with Syria, for 75 years, there was no relation at all almost. Very tense relation. In 2009, I became minister and we had visa liberalization with Syria and free trade agreement. And joint cabinet meeting, in one day we signed 51 agreement. With Iraq, after American invasion, etc., we had tense. We again joined. That was my conceptualization, high-level strategic cooperation council meetings. We established this council with all the neighbors. With Russia, 2011, we signed visa liberalization, free trade agreement, joint cabinet meeting. Also Pakistan. So this was bilateral successes. And people in Turkey start to think, no, Greeks are not our enemies. Even not Russia. Iran is not just rival. Arabs, okay, we had historically some problem, but now no. So this is psychology, right. Management. Second step, not only this is also, let me say, my creation, in the sense, new idea, trilateral processes. We established Turkey, Serbia, Bosnia trilateral process. I am a pro-Bosniak because of Srebrenica, etc. But Serbians all respected me very much because I acted for Balkan unity. And Serbian President Tadic was trusting me. We have this trilateral mechanism. Then another trilateral mechanism, when Rabbani was assassinated between Afghanistan and Pakistan, there was a tension. Next, immediately we established Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkey trilateral mechanism to minimize problems between Afghanistan and Pakistan. And now we have crisis. But unfortunately, many of these trilateral processes are not continuing now. This is missing. Turkey, Azerbaijan, Georgia. Turkey was involved in Georgian-Russian war. We were mediator. Third was the role of mediation. Can you imagine? I mediated between Serbia and Bosnia as an Ottoman. Let's say they called me Ottoman as a Turk. I mediated between Israel and Syria. We were very close to peace until Israel attacked Gaza in 2008, late 2000, in 2009. I mediated between Syria and Iraq. I mediated between Ethiopia and the Eritrea. I mediated between Somalia and Somaliland. So many Turkey became champion of mediation. And 2011, with Finland, we formed Friends of Mediation. It became a UN initiative under UN, still functioning. So if you have a problem, as you said, idealistic, either you will, because of this problem, you will be acting reactively, and problem will be deepening, or you will look at positive things, bypass these, take it within parentheses, and focus on cooperation. For me, peace can be achieved through economic and cultural cooperation and integration. So now, how is the situation now? You are right, Musa. After Arab Spring, we had problems. Because, why? Because several countries lost a legitimate government or efficient government, even if it's not legitimate. You want to have good relations with Syria, but Syrian leaders started to fight against his own people, used chemical weapons. Who is your counterpart? And they don't have any control on our border during civil war. So who is if you don't have a counterpart, you cannot have zero or maximum problem. Similarly, Libya, or whenever there was a crisis in Iraq, the problem was not because of this principle. You don't have counterpart to implement this principle. After my resignation as Prime Minister, of course, there are good things Turkey continue to be doing, like I support the policy of active neutrality between Ukraine and Russia, correct policy, but on Gaza, on several other issues, I criticize my government today because of this.
Let's pick on that. As you mentioned, we can't ignore current events, and right now the world is witnessing a devastating genocide in Gaza. And you've been extremely outspoken on this issue. In fact, you recently co-authored a book called Genocide in Gaza.
We
have a copy of the book as well.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So you co-authored I can show.
Okay.
Keep it here. So you co-authored a book called Genocide in Gaza as well. And in fact, even in late 2023, you started warning that Israel's actions in Gaza amounted to an impending genocide. And you urged the international community to take action to stop what you called a genocidal onslaught against the Palestinian people. Now, as a former prime minister and someone who has dealt with Israel, and like you mentioned, someone who has dealt with many tricky conflicts where you've engaged in mediation, what do you believe Turkey's role should be in the Israel-Palestine conflict? And how can the international community do more to prevent this?
You see, I was mediator between Israel and Hamas and Palestinian side in general in 2009 war, 2012 war, and 2014 war. All of these three wars and ceasefires were achieved during these wars by our mediation. In 2009, Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar. 2012, United States as well, Hillary Clinton, myself, and Sheikh Ahmed bin Jassim. And 2014, Turkey, Qatar, United States, John Kerry, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Khalid El-Attiyah. And always we work together with Egypt. First of all, you can be a mediator. Mediator should be neutral. When I mediated between Israel and Syria, the Prime Minister of Israel was Ehud Olmert. At that time, I was not...
He's coming here.
Really?
Yeah.
Soon? convey my greeting. Interesting. I was chief advisor, so I didn't have any title. They were calling me in the Middle East, Prof. Prof came, Prof went, Prof. And Ehud Olmert and Bashar Assad both said, we only rely on Prof. Davutoğlu. And we tried to achieve a peace. Last minute in December, Prime Minister Erdogan, Olmert visited Turkey in Ankara. We had an interesting diplomacy between Bashar Assad and Ehud Olmert through phone. We were very close to an agreement. They were supposed to meet Monday, Saturday, Israeli forces attack Gaza. Now, you can be a reliable mediator, but from the beginning, the most important thing, I am a human being. I cannot tolerate any aggression. I cannot tolerate any genocide. Whoever commits genocide, my position is clear. I don't care how strong they are. I don't care what they can do to me. I don't care what is the power of United States or Trump. This is a genocide. When this genocide started, after 2 months, this is something positive when I say moral reawakening. Today, Musa, we are at a crossroads. Either Gaza became a symptom, either we will defend humanity, human values, we will defend people of Gaza, we will defend human dignity, and the humanity will go in a right direction. Positive thing here is, despite of all the pressures, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, blacks, whites, everyone, there is a huge mass support for people of Gaza. The second option is neocolonialism of Trump. I say this is Trumpian way, this is humanitarian way. We have to make a choice. I cannot be neutral here. I cannot be mediator in that sense neutral. You have to first show your stand. After this, when they attacked, December 2023, after 2 months, we organized together with Richard Falk, a very respected international lawyer, now 93 years old. I am praying for his health because he's defending humanitarian values everywhere. He is Jewish background, great scholar. Together with him, we organized a Zoom meeting. Former presidents, prime ministers, some ministers, Nobel Prize winners, Pulitzer Prize winners, a group of around 139 people, and we declared a text, a declaration. First time, we called this as genocide. From all ethnicities, all religious backgrounds. Then we organized a conference here in London, January, and then we made a book out of this. It is very interesting, this humanitarian awakening. In that conference, in that Zoom meeting, there was a discussion. Some friends said it is too early to say genocide for these actions. Should we wait for some time? I was there, I was not in the sense of listening everybody as the coordinator. One lady, Professor Phyllis Bennis, very respected academician, intellectual from California, she took the floor. She said, I am a daughter of a Holocaust family. I am a Jewish. If you do not say genocide, I will not sign this declaration. This is a genocide. So it is not, there I said in the public, this is not a war between Israel and Hamas. This is Israeli propaganda. This is not a war between Israel and Hamas. This is not a war between Israel and Palestine. This is not a war between Israel and Muslims. This is not a war between Israel and Arabs. This is a war between Israel and humanity. Therefore, everybody must take the stand where they are. I am sure you followed Sharm el-Sheikh summit. When I am a statesman, my habit is that if I go to a meeting, I read all the speeches, last speeches of my counterpart, with whom I am meeting. I wish that Muslim and European leaders who went to Sharm el-Sheikh should listen first what Trump said in Knesset. In Knesset, nerede benim dosya şey? Let me read this from Knesset speech of Trump. He openly declared his complicity. He said, it is so dangerous, so bad, but we have to do what we have to do. We make the best weapons in the world, and we have got a lot of them, and we have given a lot to Israel. Frankly, and I mean Bibi, he says, Bibi, call me so many times, can you get me this weapon, that weapon, that weapon? Some of them I never heard. Bibi, and I made them. This is Bibi. Who is Bibi? Netanyahu. Who is Netanyahu? A war criminal in the International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice. And a world leader says, I gave weapon. Assume that Milosevic or Karadzic, who were in ICC, a country would say, I gave them to do genocide in Srebrenica. They would be complicity and should be judged. This is unacceptable. In his speech, he said that he doesn't respect the UN resolutions. There is no single reference to UN. Therefore, the world order, which I mean, UN based on certain values. Universal Declaration of Human Rights is the basis of UN.
But what can a country like Turkey, which has mediated peace around the world, what role do you see Turkey playing in this conflict? For myself, a lot of people say is that especially the Muslim world did not stand up enough at the start and did not unite enough to prevent the atrocities in Palestine.
You are right. Neither Pakistan, nor Turkey, nor any Muslim country, nor any European country did anything. Let me say, when we declared this declaration, I wrote letter to Ramaphosa, President Ramaphosa. I wrote letter to President Lula. I wrote letter to Colombian President Sanchez, on many of them. I congratulate, and in the name of humanity, I salute South Africa. South Africa was the only country, and Ramaphosa was the only leader who took this step for humanity. They share the legacy of Mandela. In Oxford, from this hall, I salute them. Ramaphosa invited me to South Africa for a conference, anti-apartheid conference, and I said the same thing there. And Ramaphosa, some South African academicians said, we were expecting this from Turkey. Why not? To be frank, if I was in a position, I wouldn't wait even one day. I said 12 steps Turkey should take against this genocide in Gaza. Immediately after genocide started, ban all the trade with Israel, close all the ports, close the airspace, and tell to American side, this is the red line if this aggression doesn't continue, because only the United States could stop the genocide. In all ceasefires we achieved in the past, we achieved because Americans made pressure on Israel. We negotiated with Hamas. But in this case, Biden and Trump, both of them made complicity, gave clear green light to Netanyahu. And in Muslim world, what did they do? Not single policy disturbing Israel. Very harsh statements, empty words, nothing has changed. So many things could have been done. For example, what could have been done? 2 months ago, before going to UN General Assembly, I made a declaration. I wrote 2-3 letters to President Erdogan as well. Before last General Assembly, I said, the OIC leaders should come together, but not for empty words. They should make a declaration saying that we will not attend UN General Assembly meeting if Israel doesn't stop aggression in Gaza. Second, we will organize an alternative UN General Assembly in Geneva, like what happened in 1987 when Yasser Arafat was not attended. Third, if this genocide will not be stopped until UN General Assembly, we will reconsider all cooperations with the countries supporting Israel. I am sure if there was such a statement, Trump wouldn't go to UN General Assembly so arrogantly. Sometimes if you have a crisis, you escalate the crisis in order to solve the crisis. They realized that Netanyahu looked from Tel Aviv. US is supporting. Europe is, at the beginning, very passive. And in Europe, I salute Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez. I salute Irish Prime Minister and many other leaders as well. Okay, Muslim world, they are meeting and making declaration, criticizing. So who will stop Netanyahu? He attacked Qatar. And Qatar was negotiating, not only Palestine, he attacked Qatar. Qatar was negotiating, helping negotiation. I can tell you, he shouldn't attack Qatar if there was no green light from the United States. And in Qatar, there is US CENTCOM headquarters. Therefore, I say, what can we do now? I wouldn't agree with Trump's plan. Ceasefire is great. The first phase is acceptable, needed. I know Gaza people. I know how humanitarian situation is so hard, difficult there. In 2012, with my wife, when Israel was bombarding Gaza, I was in Gaza with 10 Arab ministers. They left. My security told me, we have to leave because Israel is bombarding. I said, no. Tonight I will stay in Gaza with Gazan people. And we went to Shifa Hospital, which is destroyed now, and stayed there. And my wife is doctor. She tried to help people there. We are human beings. I am Turk. I am Muslim. I am proud of my nation. But I am human being first. You might be president. You might be prime minister. You might be any position. But at the end of the day, you are a human being. You must do whatever is needed for humanity. And now we are at the crossroad. If Trump plans second phase, can you imagine? How can you rely? Sorry, since this is very sensitive issue, just a few more words. In this book, I said the best description in the history, the best description of genocide is made by Gallant, Yoav Gallant, Minister of Defense of Israel. Before the genocide started, he said, we are fighting against human animals. This is the background of genocide. In order to kill other human beings, implement genocide, first you have to dehumanize. They are not human beings, so you can kill them. Dehumanization is the beginning of genocide. They said they are human animals. In Knesset speech, Netanyahu said, not Gaza people, monsters. So it is legitimizing killing other people. Second, Yoav Gallant in that speech said, we do not say any restraint. So he said to his soldiers, no restraint. You can kill children, you can kill babies, you can destroy hospitals, you can attack churches, mosques, you can do anything you want. And third, this is genocidal method. Third, he says, we will eliminate everything. The achievement, the goal is elimination of everything. Yes, they have eliminated everything, but what is the result? The result is revival of human conscience, providing a moral reawakening everywhere in the world, from Africa to Australia, everywhere. Now we are at this crossroad. I wouldn't go to Sharm el-Sheikh after listening the speech of Netanyahu, of Trump in Knesset. This is, and in Sharm el-Sheikh, this is the so-called Peace 2025. One page. One page. Did you read it? Please read. Nonsense. The ceasefire plan is something else. I accept it. ceasefire plan should be implemented.
Interesting,
Yes,
yes.
but here there is no single operational sentence signed by Trump, Egyptian, Turkish, Qatari leaders, and just endorsing Trump peace agreement, stand behind Trump's since effort just to legitimize Trump, and Trump is legitimizing Netanyahu. And throughout the paper this page signed, there is no single reference to UN. No UN Security Council Resolution 242, which means withdrawal from the occupied territories, which means Golan Heights, West Bank, and Gaza. And in Knesset, Trump said that he recognized the annexation of Golan Heights, and he declared before, in his first term, Jerusalem as the capital. So these are all against UN Security Council resolution signed by United States itself. So he doesn't promise anything. For Palestinian people, neither Oslo process nor Madrid process, this is nonsense. If they ask me to sign such a paper, I would ask, okay, what do you give to Palestinians? What is the future of Palestine? Meaning, if I sign this, I am becoming some sort of guarantor of Trump plan. But who can guarantee Trump? Trump, if you ask me one thing for Trump, unpredictability. Unpredictability. Why do we have order? Predictability. Order brings predictability and security. But Trump is unpredictable. After the agreement, everything signed, big posters, peace 2025. It is not even ceasefire, friends. Ceasefire is operational. There is no peace here. There is a show, a theater. And Israeli Minister of Defense declared that they will attack again. Now, since there is no hostage in the hand of Hamas, be sure Netanyahu will be free to take any action. How will they start? They make some provocations. I know from 2012, 2009 wars. That provocation, they will say, you look, they are still. And what is the justice? Who committed genocide? Israeli army. In Knesset, Trump showed Israeli commander-in-chief and said, you did a great, extraordinary success, a great thing. What is it? It is genocide. So there is a need of a real voice of human leadership. Today, what is missing in the world is a courageous leadership everywhere. Unfortunately, now we are under test, and I call all the leaders, regardless of their ethnic or religious background, raise their voice, not only against Netanyahu, but also against those leaders, including Trump, who helped Netanyahu to commit this genocide.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your elaborate answer as well. Now, I have some questions, domestic policy as well, but we are short of time, so I will move on to questions from the audience. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hands. I will call